Hi, I'm Gwen, and I had a home birth for my second child, little Henry, who's 2 weeks old. He is right beside me right now. So you might hear a little squeaking and squawking, and that's him saying hello, and I approve this message. So I'm really excited to record this today because, first of all, there's something called pregnancy amnesia. You basically forget a lot of the details, a lot of the pain, a lot of the highs. You just kind of forget a bit of the experience. So I'm recording this for myself, kind of. So maybe in 10 years, I can remind myself what happened. But also, I had such a beautiful experience having a home birth. And perhaps you stumbled across this and it's something that you're curious about. You want to hear my experience with it, just a civilian, or maybe there's someone in your life that is considering it, and this might sway them in the direction to perhaps go for it. So, I just want to share with you to start why a home birth. Well, for my first pregnancy, I had a high risk pregnancy. I had something called velamentous cord insertion, which kind of sounds like a magic spell from Harry Potter. And what that is on the placenta, which helps feed the baby, the feeding tube that attaches to it is supposed to be in the middle of the placenta, but for some reason, mine attached on the side. And so it can cause the potential risk of the baby not growing. So, being a high risk pregnancy, it was essentially like a part-time job. I had to travel to get extra x-rays in fancy places, and I was checked more often to make sure the baby was growing, which is great, but it also made it a much more medical experience, many more people involved. And when I actually had the baby in the hospital, I was induced and I said yes to many drugs that were offered. I was induced with Pitocin and I had laughing gas, fentanyl, which I thought was something I would never say yes to, but in the pain of the moment, I said, "Give me a little of that fentanyl," which helped me through the pain. I just didn't take an epidural. That's just one thing that didn't resonate because I wanted to know, I wanted to have a feeling when I was pushing the baby out. So that was my experience with the first one, was a bit uh, more more people involved. So I thought if I do a home birth, then I can have an experience that's kind of the opposite of my first time having a baby. So I was curious about it and I decided to go for it. And also, for some context, I was working with midwives throughout my experience of being pregnant. So here's how it started. Well, my dream was to go into labor naturally. I was so interested to see what that would be like versus scheduling, 9 a.m. on a Saturday at the hospital. I'm like, what would happen if it happened naturally? And so I was 41 weeks and 1 day pregnant. And that's when it started. And I was so relieved because I was going to be going to an appointment the next day to plan the induction. I'm like, no, I really want to wait. So here's how it started. It's the morning and it's winter in Ontario, Canada, and my garage door wouldn't shut. Basically, when you try to shut the garage door, it would instantly bounce back up because there was like half an inch of ice. It's a safety feature, but as a 9 month pregnant gal, my husband left for work and didn't realize that it didn't shut. So I had the joy of figuring out how to fix that. And I figured it out after struggling with shoveling, and I decided to, melt it with boiling water. After I came back inside, I felt like a cramp kind of move through me. And I thought, could this be a contraction? I might just write this down on my Apple Note. And then I started to notice about every 20 minutes starting to get a bit of a cramp. And I was a little bit hesitant that it was really happening because I thought it was happening like 5 days earlier. Josh even took a day off from work because he thought, oh, it's happening. And it really, nothing happened. So cautiously optimistic that this is happening. So all throughout that day, I was thrilled, but also in pain because I was getting that wave of a cramp. And so I realized, okay, I'm actually in labor. Yay. And what you're looking for when you go into labor is for me, I wasn't supposed to call the midwife team until I was in active labor. And what that is that you have a contraction for a minute long and they're about 5 minutes apart, which to me sounds very close to having a baby, but it was still, when I went into active labor, I still had 2 hours. So that was fun. Um, so what I'm doing all day, walking around, bouncing on one of those giant Swiss balls. The real challenge came when it was bedtime, around like put my first son to bed. Josh and I are starting to get tired. I'm really getting tired because I've been just having sweeping cramps, contractions all day. So it comes to like 9 or 10, and we're like, what do we do? Like, do I go back to sleep or do I go to sleep or what do we do? So I did the only thing that one could do, and that's lie in bed and watch the Lou Pearlman story on YouTube. Lou Pearlman being the manager of the Backstreet Boys and of NSYNC, and he stole millions of dollars from them. And the reason I watched that was simply because it popped up in the algorithm and it was so distracting from my pain. Next time I would actually say, lean into the pain, don't lean out, because it would probably happen a little faster. But that was a little fun distraction. But when it got to midnight, it started to get a little gritty. Josh is getting real tired. I'm getting real tired. And then our first son wakes up, and he's pretty good at sleeping through the night. And he was just feeling some kind of tension, some kind of energy. And he decided, hey, I'm going to wake up and hang out with y'all. So between 12 to 1, he was up, and we just decided, let's let him out. Let's let him run around for a minute. We had my mother-in-law on standby. She would come over if we called her to help pick up Liam, our son, and watch him if we needed some help. But okay, so we got Liam back to bed around 1, and then 2 a.m. rolls around, still just going through the contractions. And I realize I've been counting the contractions in my head, like the time between each one, and I was counting so slow because I was in pain, that Josh said, "Hey, let me time that with an actual timer instead of what's going on in your head." And as it turned out, I was very much in active labor. And so it realized that the contractions were over a minute long, definitely 5 minutes apart. So it was time to call the midwife. Called my midwife, and she's like, "Yep, you are in active labor. Come on, I'm coming over." So she literally drove over. And what's so wild is that she had just been at another birth, probably over 12 hours. And now I'm calling her at 2 in the morning, and she's coming over to help me have another baby. Like, midwives just have some kind of supernatural power that I don't even, and she didn't even drink coffee. Okay. Just a nice tea. So she comes over, and then she turned our bedroom into an office. And the idea was that I was going to have the baby on our bed. The idea is that you put like a sheet, shower curtain, old sheet, lots of towels that you can get rid of. I decided to go the bed route because I considered the idea of the birthing tub, but it just felt, it didn't align with me in the sense that I didn't know what to do with it afterwards. I'm sure there's services that like do the cleanup and come over, but I was just like, what if it doesn't come on time? It just felt like a little bit outside of my realm of comfort to have to set up a tub. So I just thought, I could set up a bed real quick. So that was set up. And so the midwife comes over, and she's setting everything up. And I just go into the bathroom and just lean on the bathroom counter because I'm really starting to feel the pain now. And I'm just kind of bent over, not in a great position to let gravity do its magic, but I was just like, I'm in so much pain. And then started to get like sick a couple times. So, which actually is such a relief. If you're feeling so much pain, somehow like just getting sick somehow made me feel alive again. Like, like the pain was leaving my body. And then everyone started worry I might get dehydrated. So Josh came in clutch. He brought in a drink which I thought had electrolytes in it. I thought it was like a pre-workout. Turns out later it was water with, sparkling water you put in like the flavor drops. It was just water with flavor drops, but in my head, I thought it was a pre-workout that was helping me like get my energy back. So that was kind of funny. So I'm in the bathroom. I'm like, I cannot get out of this bathroom. I just need to stand here. I just want to hide away from everybody. I don't really want to talk to anybody. And in my first birth, I was in so much pain. I was like humming or making a lot of sound. I feel like this time I was just sitting there, like just in pain, but not really saying much or just whining every once in a while. But just kind of keeping to myself. So soon after, time is passing. I don't even know what time it is, but I hear some more commotion in the bedroom. And it turns out, the midwife team I work with, it's not just one. You have like the one point person. And then she brought in some additional support. She brought in an extra midwife who helps, and then a student, which I was like, sure, bring a student, come on down. And what was so cool is the second midwife who came named Anne Marie. She's actually the same midwife who helped me give birth to my first son. And I just remember her being so encouraging, that warrior woman vibe where it's like, push, like she was just, and she's been doing it for 20 years. So it was just such like a joy to see her again now in my house. So folded over in the bathroom. Then midwife is coming in every once in a while to check the baby's heart rate to make sure I'm still alive. And what happened next is she said, do you want to try and like maybe move from just being stuck at this counter? She said this really gently, though, really nice. They have so much love and compassion and support, and they want to let you just let your body do its thing, but they're just so encouraging. And she had the idea maybe I could sit on the Swiss ball, just maybe bounce for a minute. I'm like, sure, I'll do anything. I'm ready for this baby to leave. It's funny because there's a bunch of time leading up to it where I'm just terrified. Like I don't even I'm like, how is a baby gonna come out of me? I'm not ready. I'm not ready. Then a moment happens and you think, literally now, anytime, get this baby out of me. So I sit on the Swiss ball. It feels like gravity has 10x'd. I'm like, nope, gotta get off this Swiss ball because I am unwell. And so I got off the ball, but I decided, you know what? Maybe if I just like roll onto it, kind of, I will let gravity do its thing. So there's like towels, I'm wearing a robe, I'm just rolled onto the ball, knees like are on the ground. And I go, what did I do? Oh, I just remember as I was sitting there, like shaking, was sitting on the ball and I just started shaking, like kind of not violently, but like uncontrollably. That's the word. And I believe my water broke right away. And then it just went quiet. No contractions, no pain, the calm before the storm. And I sat there and we all were like, it's about to go down. It's about to happen. So I'm rolled on the ball. I say, Josh, can you come in here? I got Josh to sit on the ledge of a bathtub. So he's like in front of me, holding my hands what as my arms are rolled on the ball, which is actually nice because it was kind of like I could hold onto his arms to like brace myself, which was really cool. So I pushed him out in 2 minutes, which is kind of fast because I later found out that if you can take your time a little bit pushing out the baby, you actually help squeeze liquid out of their lungs. So when he was first born, his cry was a little bit like waterlogged. So they kind of were not roughing him up, but like just pushing on and making sure he could breathe. And then he started crying, and then they handed him to me as I'm sitting on the bathroom floor, just looking like, what, what is this? What just happened? Like it's just such a surreal moment when the baby really just arrives. You're like, oh my God, there's a baby. And then I hand the baby back over and they go to like weigh him and things like that. And I go over to the bed and I'm going to just spare some details of what happens right after birth. Feel free to message me if you want any like actual like details, but basically once I went and like lied on the bed, they were going to hand me the baby. They've got to like push on your stomach to try and get blood out, and I had like a lot of bleeding, so I had to get some shots in the legs, like some oxytocin, I believe, and some emergency shot. So just a little challenges after birth, like more pain after the baby's born. But then when they hand you the baby and you're just sitting there with your little tiny human, it's such a joy. And you're like, oh my God. So it was beautiful. And having the home birth, you're already home. So I was able to just basically sit in bed all day. My mother-in-law, father-in-law came over, picked up our tiny toddler so we could just be in the newborn bubble all day, and it was just amazing. So that is my story of the home birth, my second baby. And I would, if I have another child, if I come back with a third video, I intend to likely have a home birth again because it was such a organic, homey, grounded vibe. So if it's something you're considering, I highly recommend. And also just want to say a huge thank you to midwives everywhere. Y'all are special, and I so appreciate you. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode here, and I wish you an awesome day.